Hello and welcome to the complete SEO guide for 2015. This is both a basic and a master level SEO course for all the tactics you will need in 2015. And let me tell you, there's quite a few new ones, some very interesting tactics for 2015, some new algorithms that we can use to help Google rank our sites. So let's get right to it. SEO is not dead. In 2015. In fact, SEO is very exciting and apparently very tasty, but also very exciting, especially the new algorithms that I'm going to show you in this masterclass for free for Thanksgiving holiday. But of course, the devil is always in the details. And so let's look at some of these details. Let's take a look at the positive ranking factors. And then we're going to take a look at the negative ranking factors, or the dim motors. I'm going to go through it really fast because it's going to take a long time. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, my name is Josh Baczynski. You can email me at joshbaczynski@gmail.com. You can always look at my videos at youtube.com/jbachins, and you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Baczynski. So I'm going to go through pretty quick. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me, joshbachinski@gmail.com. So let's go through them at a fairly brisk pace. Okay, so the first, of course, that you need to start off with is good old ye olde on-page SEO. This still matters in 2015. The first thing you need to do, of course, and please, for those of you who are at an advanced level, please do not roll your eyes too badly, but of course you need to see what people search for the most. You need to research your topics first. This is good old keyword research. And yes, you can still do it. I still use the keyword planner. It's a little bit more complex, but it's a very powerful tool. It will even forecast the number of impressions you have over the next few months. Or you can use your own analytics, or there's also third-party tools you can use to do it. The keyword planner is a little bit complex, but if you play with it for a little bit, you're going to start to see that it's extremely powerful, and yes, can still be used for SEO. I would, and here's some changes for 2015, I would go broad match. Instead of, say, phrase match or exact match, I would go broad match to get your general page topics. For example, if you want to have a page about unusual Christmas gifts, broad match will broadly match on Xmas gifts unusual, or unusual Xmas gifts, or unusual Christmas gifts, or unusual Christmas presents, or weird Christmas presents, etc., etc. So it's going to match out the direct synonyms for these words, and it's going to give you a much higher amount of traffic that you can go for, and give you a much better idea of what the high traffic terms are as opposed to the exact match. And Google in 2015 is quite happy with Hummingbird. I'm talking about Hummingbird quite a bit. With the Hummingbird algorithm, Google is quite happy to switch unusual Xmas gifts for Xmas gifts unusual. So that's not such a problem anymore. However, that being said, you can, of course, get the biggest list of the broad match topics and then go for exact match from that list. Again, only if it is natural, only if it makes sense. You'll know what I mean when you see it. Some queries make sense as a search phrase, but it makes absolutely no sense as a page title. And so you don't want to make it look unnatural. You can also select for your area if you're doing local SEO. And not only your particular area, but the adjoining regions. Because, of course, Google is going to ignore the keywords to some extent. And they're going to just, if someone types in martial arts, they're going to give them the martial arts in their particular region. So you can drill right down to the region level. And you want to watch for mobile traffic versus desktop traffic, of course. This is very important. You want to make sure you have a mobile design as well. I'll be talking about that. And finally, if you haven't done keyword research in a while, I would suggest you do it again, because you might be very surprised with the advent of voice search, with the advent of mobile search, and changes in search patterns. You might be very surprised to see what people are searching for now. And there could be a huge amount of broad match keywords that you didn't bother looking for before because you were focused on exact match. So there's going to be huge opportunities here. Of course, after you've gotten that, you want to make your pages. This goes for new sites you're making, but also for sites that you're adding pages to on a regular basis. You want to do keyword research to find out what would be good topics, and then you want to make your pages out. How many topics do you want to put on a page? You want to put one topic per page. You don't want any more than one main keyword or key phrase per page, and that's the topic for that page. So again, in my example, it would be one page for unusual Christmas gifts, one page for expensive Christmas gifts, one page for cheap Christmas gifts, that kind of an idea. And of course, as I just said, exact match is still better if it is natural. So if it is natural to use exact match, go ahead and use it. So if you want to make a page, you want to target unusual Christmas gifts or unusual Xmas gifts, actually, because that's what most people type in. That's why you need to do the research to find out. Then that's what you want the page title to be. You can also put those keywords, of course, in the URL or title. I prefer to use the title. The title in 2014-15 to me really seems to have the better signal. Furthest to the left as possible. You want to put it in some kind of block level heading. It doesn't matter if it's an H1. It could be anywhere from H1 to H4. In fact, my good friend Ted Kabaitis did an SEO test, and he found out that actually an H4 seems to have a bigger signal than an H1 for some weird reason. It was a very interesting find that he made, but either way, it doesn't have to be that. It could be any block level header, and it doesn't even have to be a block level header, and it has to go in your content. So unusual Xmas gifts should show up in your content 2 times maybe. Here's a quick note about exact match domains. If you got a chance to buy unusualxmasgifts.com for $50,000, I would not bother. Definitely not if it's selling for $5,000 or something stupid like that. Quite frankly, it doesn't really seem to help that much anymore. Search metrics in the 2014 review seem to show that as well. Not only this, but it's extremely risky. Exact match domains have an extra algorithm called the EMD algorithm to try and demote them, like a Panda style algorithm, or it's either part of Panda or one or the other. And they really do seem to be susceptible to penguins. So I would not go for the EMD. I would go for a more kitschy kind of domain name that would have a brand recognition that people would remember. And while you're making your pages, you want to make sure you write for human beings. You want to be precise but not repetitive. Again, you want to be precise on the topic but not repetitive. It doesn't want to sound jilted or stunted. Write for humans, make a really awesome article. And when you're using your title description, not only do you want to put the keyword in there, but you also want to make sure you use the title description for click-through rate. CTR is extremely important. You only want to have 49 characters or so, and you want to use this awesome tool, this free tool here, it'll show you exactly what, it's a SERP emulator for Google. It'll show you exactly what your snippet's going to look like. You can also use the ad preview tool in the keyword planner as well, which I'll talk about in a second. And finally, you want to stay fresh. The content on your site has to be updated regularly. Even legacy articles, you should update them with some new information if possible. Never delete a page if possible. If you don't need to, always update it, always change it. You want to have an updated on text somewhere on the page telling Google when it's been updated. They will scrape that and they will read it. You want to have a current copyright date. And if possible, in that title, you only have around 49 characters, you want to put the year in that title if possible. That way people know that it's current. Bigger is better. Remember, the age-old adage holds true for websites too, that more pages, quite frankly, equals more rankings. You have more page rank juice and you have more pages to rank. And there seems to be a bonus for a bigger site. It seems to get a bonus. No pun intended. You want to sculpt your page rank to your top pages. So whatever your top ranking pages are, unusual Xmas gifts, you want that page on your site to get most of the links. You do not want your index page to be your top ranking page, usually for the most part, and you don't want your blog page to be your top ranking page, your top page, and you don't want, your product categories. Sometimes you do, but you don't want your contact page, your about us, your FAQ, or your testimonials to be your top ranking page, because most of the time, because usually these are not the best pages that are going to answer the question for the searcher. Usually you want it to be your other pages, and you have to make it easy for Google to tell what your top pages, your most important pages are, and those are the pages that are going to rank. And finally, remember, if you lose pages, you are going to lose rankings. That includes URL parameters. Those URL parameters are those little extra bits on top of the URL, question mark, name equals blah, email equals blah, that kind of a thing. Or if you're using WordPress usually loves to put URL parameters up there. Don't forget that if you have a couple thousand or a couple hundred duplicate pages with URL parameters, Google is going to automatically delete them from their index, and you will lose all that page rank juice that's flowing through them, and you will lose all that ranking juice. So make sure you pay attention to your URL parameters in Webmaster Tools. While you're adding Webmaster Tools, make sure to check your click-through rate. Your click-through rate on the Google SERP is incredibly important for SEO in 2015. I cannot stress how important it is. Because for these reasons, one, you get more traffic now. If you can increase your click-through rate from 5% to 10%, you're getting double the traffic that you were getting before from ranking in the exact same position. Not only that, but if you have a better title and description, you get better conversion. If you better tell people what exactly they can expect on that page and don't mislead them or make it kind of a vague SEO title, you'll have better Panda defense. You won't be hit by Panda as much. You won't be as susceptible to Panda, and you'll get better conversion and better traffic. And finally, better click-through rate equals better rankings. Google has told us this, oneighty.io has told us this, and I have an example to prove this coming later up in this course. All right, so how do you get more clicks? Well, to find your click-through rate, as I said, you can find it in Webmaster Tools, Search Queries, Top Pages. You can check how it looks, as I mentioned before, as your title, how it's going to look in the ad preview or the Google SERP emulator that I mentioned before. And you want to differentiate yourself. You want to look at the major SERP, see who's ranking there, and you want to go for the weak spot. You want to, don't look like they look. If they look like this, red apples, pipe, red apple, because they have the too long of a title, you want to stand out with something more like this. Wow, get top red apples. You can get the best red apples for low prices. Free delivery, visit today. And don't forget to always use the psychological power words. Social psychology has shown and marketing psychology has shown that these 5 power words, you, free, now, new, because, have an extra leg up in convincing people to buy and to click and to convert. So you can also use variations, of course, such as now or today or new, or it could be best or it could be good, and because is what you can do, the verb you can do it because this, you can get it now, that kind of thing. So it's a great idea to make sure you stand out with your title snippet. In fact, it's the crucial thing that everyone misses for 2015 SEO. You can get huge gains without doing anything except for just changing your on-page SEO. And it's a huge thing in 2015. And I'm going to prove it to you in just a couple slides. All right, here's another huge thing that's super exciting in 2015 SEO that people underestimate entirely. And I'm going to show you by asking you a question. What was the biggest algorithm change in the last 2 years? I'll give you a hint. It's a bird. But it wasn't pigeon, and it wasn't penguin. No. The biggest algorithm change in the last 2 years has been Hummingbird. Hummingbird is a complete rewrite of the Google algorithm. Since Hummingbird, Google does not rank web pages. I repeat, since Hummingbird, Google does not rank web pages. Google ranks entities that have an associated URL. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain. Hummingbird eats HTML, including most especially schema. Hummingbird is the quick little algorithm that will take search queries like weird Xmas gifs or unusual Xmas gifs and will very quickly find the matching documents in the Google Entity Database. In the Google Entity Database, Google does not rank web pages anymore. It ranks entities in its database, which it scrapes the web and other places for information about these entities. So here's an example. What do I mean by that? How does that work exactly? Well, here's a very good example. So here's an example I use a number of times in the course. It's called the Neutrogena skincare entity. Now you notice they get the information here from the site, neutrogenaskincare.com. This is a good example, a fictitious example, but an example that I'm going to use a couple times. And this website has an article page, has a product page where they can get Neutrogena, has an order page where they can order it. And Hummingbird, will crawl, Google will crawl, Hummingbird will make sense and parse this information and develop factoids about this information. It'll go, okay, there's an author, or there's an article page, there's a product page, there's an order page. But this is not, and it'll develop the entity it can develop the entity for just this and this only. But that's not the only place Google gets its information. In fact, the majority of the place Google gets into this information from is from off-site schema references. Off-site schema references, such as all your references in places like Wikipedia, Freebase, all the blogs that talk about you, all the newspapers that talk about you, all the forums talk about you. Not only that, but all the ratings and reviews you're going to get. All the rating and review schema from Amazon.com and from other rating and review style sites that Google trusts. Yelp or Zagat or whatever. And not only that, they're going to get information about the Neutrogena skincare entity from social, from the official social accounts that have neutrogenaskincare.com in their website field that link back through that, especially in Google Plus, where you can officially approve that relation between Google Plus and the website in Webmaster Tools after you go and put the website in Google Plus. So Hummingbird parses all this information to make an entity database, and with factoids. They have an entity database right now with 1.6 billion facts about all these entities they've found, and they're just going to keep building this information. And this is an immense, enormous ranking factor in 2015. You cannot underestimate this. So don't forget, Schema can get you huge results. It fills in what I call the entity fabric or the entity framework for Google and building up what sites are the best and what they're all about. It makes them understand the page type, whether they got article, what each page is an article page, is a product page, is a service page, is a purchase page, etc., event page, contacts, etc. It gets you access to the knowledge panel, including the right knowledge panel with the information and the in-depth articles that goes right in the direct left SERP, and it is a powerful 2015 off-page ranking factor. So here's some tips for structured data. Check your Webmaster Tools. Make sure that you don't have any errors in your schema, and or I would also recommend, just my personal experience, I found out that HATM or H-entry, H-E-N-T-R-Y, H-entry or H-ATM, these are the ATM RSS feeds. This is telling Google these schema designations are only supposed to be used on syndicated content. You do not want to tell Google that you're low-quality, spammy, syndicated content. I've seen this in a number of Panda problems. It could just be correlation, but this is my own personal experience. It's not worth telling Google. I'd just rather have it empty. Otherwise, it's just a risk. So, how you use Schema on page is you use Webmaster Tools, Data Highlighter, and Schema.org to define your pages. Use Freebase.org to define your site, your entity, what your entity is, and use off-page ratings to get and reviews to get third-party quality and reference signals. Again, guys, this is an enormous part of SEO in 2015. Do not underestimate how powerful this is. I'm going to show you in a couple slides. Speaking of which, local. Pigeon is nothing but Hummingbird. Here's a perfect example. Pigeon is nothing but Hummingbird with local entities, more local entities involved. So this is what you want to do to make sure you have all those local entities. You want to get what's called an enhanced listing. Enhanced listings are your friend. You want to find your local Google business photographer and get yourself an enhanced listing. You want to maximize your map listings. Again, you're going to get more entity information, including free parking. If you have free parking, if you have hours, if you have any bonuses or perks to shopping with you or using you, definitely put them in your map listing. You want to make sure you have a quality site. You want to make sure that every user is completing the task on each page you're supposed to complete. If it's a sign-up page, most of them are signing up. If it's an information page, most of them are being informed. If it's a contact page, most of them are contacting you. You do not want them to bounce back to Google and select another site. I guarantee this will be a problem for your ranking. Not only this, but you want to have multiple good reviews. You need to have that off-page schema. You would need multiple good reviews from the Better Business Bureau, from any wikis, from forums, local blogs, Google+, any local rating sites like Yelp, Zagat, travel sites, etc. You need to have your positive, good reviews and ratings from these sites. That is so key in 2015 SEO. For not just for local, especially for local, but also for global SEO as well. And finally, you have to be mobile optimized. You're going to be surprised to see how much of your traffic is actually mobile. You want to watch your usage and check Webmaster Tools for any mobile design errors. They are literally deranking sites based on this information. Social. Social is definitely a signal in 2015. The question is, what social factors help exactly? Well, I found in my test that shares of your pages definitely help. People sharing your pages and Google seeing that some content has gone viral is definitely a ranking signal. It helps you rank faster for sure, and I actually believe it will help you rank higher. Where do you want to get these social signals? Where you want people to share your pages? Anywhere that they're on social, that Google can read it, such as Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, even Disquist, Reddit, Dig, those kinds of smaller sites, smaller social sites as well. And also Facebook. The jury is out as to whether Google can read it or not. I've tried to affirm or deny the hypothesis that Google can read it. I cannot disprove they read it, and it's difficult to see if they do read it or not. But I can't imagine them ignoring it because it is still the largest social network. You also want activity on your associated profiles. I have some proof for this in a couple slides. That tells Google that you are a real site. If you have an official sounding social business page or fan page or a front-facing public page that has a lot of activity and it's correlated with a website, that is definitely a good signal for Google telling them that you're real. How do you get that? Well, it's easiest when you post share-worthy content, which I'll talk about how to get in a second. And you want to engage, comment, and talk with people on there. You don't want to leave a comment there for 2 weeks before you answer it. And you also need to get buzz from the experts. If you have any experts in your field, you need to reach out to those people and get them talking with you on your associated profile, or get them commenting with you, or get them talking or sharing your site. That is definitely what you want. Google doesn't need author rank anymore. We help train them as to what experts are. Now they have expert rank. And oh yeah, links. Yes, you still need a few links, but you just don't want to buy this guy's links. You want to get the links that Google trusts. Here's the kind of links that they trust. Well, they're the kind of links from real businesses or high authority sites that have a high trust rank. You can check the trust rank in Majestic, or just look at the site and tell it's a legitimate real business, and you can tell whether or not you want to link there. You don't want to link where everyone else is. If there's 50 links on that page, you surely don't want it. If there's even 5 links on that page, you probably don't want it. Unless it's easy to get or cheap or very high trust. You want it to be a main content link. You don't want to sneak links into the sidebar or the footer. You want your anchor text to have natural stop words like good site for fruit. If I'm selling a product called red apples, you want a good site for fruit or great resource, etc. That kind of link. And you want the appropriate amount of links. You don't want to be a plumber site that has 10,000 links all to the index page when all the other plumber sites in your town of Brandon have only 5 links. That is a dead giveaway. You don't want to match the current spam patterns. Here's the links that they 90% ignore. Any link from a new blog. They're going to ignore any link from a new blog until the blog isn't new anymore, until it's aged and looks like a legitimate site, as I just mentioned. Any manual post sites, any press release directories, article directories, any comments, any social bookmarks, any forum profiles, any followed sidebar or footer links, that's going to bubble you up to the manual team. Any site that has an article on plumbing, and then law, and then chiropractic, and then herbal pills, and then sex toys, you do not want to be on the all things to all people blog because it screams auto-generated. And finally, no matter what you do not want any more than, in my opinion, any more than 10% exact match query, search query, or even partial match search query, or commercial do follow anchor text. Even if it's in your URL. If you have buyredapples.com and all your links say buy red apples because you're trying to rank for buy red apples, that is a dead spam giveaway. Okay, so if that is the case, Josh, then how do I get these trusted links? Well, there's a whole number of ways you can do that still in 2015. Here's an idea. How about you try to beat the white haters at their own game? You know, the white hats the very cynical white hats out there are also always very quick to say to make a good website. But exactly how do you do that? Well, here's how you do that. Google rewards creativity. And here's the process. You want to brainstorm, produce the content, and amplify the content. I repeat. Here's the secret process that I think is so important. I mean, and I call it a secret process. People are going to kind of snicker. Some people will snicker at that. It's not at all a secret. I say, yes, it is. To do it right is a secret, right? I know a lot of people who are trying to do this. They just don't do it. I find hardly anybody who does this right. And the key to this process is the brainstorming. The brainstorming is the most important part of this process. It's the bottleneck, right? Producing content and amplifying content is super easy. Well, it's not super easy, it's pretty easy. But it's super easy compared to the brainstorming part, to thinking creatively. Hardly anybody knows how to optimize this process. And I've talked about how to optimize this process on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/jbachins, Jbachyns. So check it out. It's a help desk hangout that my wife and I were on, and we were talking about how to do this process. We actually show how to do this process on camera. And in that process, brainstorming process, what kind of content are you going to focus on to get built? Well, this is the kind of content that gets shared. There's 5 easy categories you can follow to get your content shared. First off, you want to make funny or zany content. You want to be hilarious. Next, you want to be that guy. You want to be that person who says controversial things. Controversial things get shared. The next thing is emotion provoking. You want to be sappy, or you want to be really happy, or you want to be, whatever. Whatever emotion you want can provoke in people, that's what you want to do, as long as it's a somewhat positive emotion, or an emotion that they love to hate, at the very least, so that they will share you. Finally, number 4, this has been the standard for SEO for years, is to be useful or interesting, is to be the knowledge resource in your industry. Not only for your industry, but any adjacent industry or anything related to your industry, you want to be the knowledge resource. If you're a shop that makes movies or commercials, you can have a blog on cameras and how to make movies and commercials and stuff like that. You don't just have to be a sales site trying to sell more commercials or whatnot. And finally, you want to make stuff that's popular. You want to make content that is custom tailored for groups that will amplify you. They're going to like it. You know that people are out there. There's camera enthusiasts out there. If you make something really cool about cameras, the camera people are going to say, "Hey, cool," and they're going to go and share it. They're going to go post it on the forums. They're going to go share amongst their social groups that are interested in cameras and whatnot. That's how you do it. So if you want more information on that, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/jbachins, and I do talk about how to do this brainstorm. Okay, here's some other ideas. Yes, you still need blog posts. You still need links from blog posts and, of course, even if possible, legit news type sites. But as I said, you only want these links only on a legitimate, established, single topic with no exact match link outs to anyone, most especially you. If they have, chiropractor Tennessee and dentist Los Angeles, you do not want links on that site. At best, they will be ignored. At worst, I guarantee they will hurt you. And they have to be main content links, as I said. A good way to do that is to get a citation link or a citation on an image. If someone uses your image and they say image provided courtesy by, or an editorial reference where they're talking about this great site is on cameras, blah, 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 blah. This site would be the link, and it's this site on cameras would be the sentence, and this site would be the link. Again, Google is going to know you're already about cameras because they're reading the entire sentence and they know what that link is about if you're using generic stop words. But the generic stop words are never going to hit your site. Otherwise, you can have, you got a few exact match query links, but I would not go over 10%. That's just my general rule of thumb. Some people might disagree with that, but risk mitigation has to be your top priority in 2015. And of course, there are other ways. If that doesn't work, if that's not enough to get you ranking, there are other ways that we can talk about. You can email me at joshpashinsky@gmail.com, and we can talk about this lovely noir chapeau here. But quite frankly, if you do what I've said properly, you shouldn't need to even use the other ways, because in 2015, you don't need many links. You do not need to keep dumping links into the link bucket. In fact, I would even stay away from it, and I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to provide proof to you of that in just a couple slides. Okay, so yes, there is a sandbox for yesterday's tactics. People keep talking about a sandbox, especially people in more competitive markets, affiliates, things like that. They talk about a sandbox. Yes, there is one for yesterday's tactics because Google is ignoring those kinds of links. And so it looks like you're in some kind of a sandbox. They're just ignoring the tactics you're doing. So don't use them. What's the point of using those tactics when Google is well aware of them? There is no sandbox for what's trending. Google is all about what's trending and what's popular. The more popular you are, the more you're going to rank for your topic. And so I would use new tactics in 2015 instead of trying to hammer on the old tactics. So here's just a nice little chart that I made as a reminder of how it's working in 2015. You want to make sure you have the topical references. These could be do follow links, no follow links, or mentions. That do follow link is just a stronger reference, but no follow and mentions are still references as well. I'm going to prove this to you in a second. Expert shares, you want the experts in your field sharing you. You want the top blogs and the top forums linking to you in your field. You want a social share aggregate. You want enthusiasts in your field and just general people in your field sharing your stuff, showing Google that you're going viral, showing that you've got something going on. The more organic you can make this look, the better. The best way to make it look organic is to be organic in that case, if you can't be. Sometimes it's even easier just to make awesome content than to try and generate 10,000 social accounts and get them all talking to each other. You want to have social profile proof. You want to make sure your social profiles on Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, all those have lots of people engaging with it, and they are linked to your site. So notice that these signals go to the page you want to rank, these signals go to the site, and you want ratings and reviews for your particular site saying how awesome you are. You want them all to be positive. You do not want them to be negative. This is all off-site stuff here. This is the on-site stuff you need to do. You need to have an awesome site. Bigger is better, but only, and I repeat, only if you can make it awesome. It's more important to be awesome than it is to be big. And I'm going to prove that to you in a couple seconds. The sites I'm going to show you are all tiny sites with like 5 pages max. And you want all those pages, however many you got, to be linking to your top ranking pages. On your top ranking page, you want your main keywords that you've done research for in the title, exact match if it is at all natural, or broad match is perfectly fine. You'll get more traffic, but you won't rank quite as high, maybe like by 1 or 2 spots. Exact match, you might rank maybe 1 or 2 spots higher. Again, you want it in a block level heading somewhere, you want it in the content, and this is what you want. You want high click-through rates, you want to make that title enticing so people click through it, and do not underestimate how important the click-through rate is, and you do not want them bouncing back to Google. They have to be satisfied with that content. The content has to be awesome. The site has to be fast, sexy, easy to navigate, easy to use, easy on the eyes, and the content is exactly what they want, no more, no less, so they do not bounce back to Google. And if you do that in 2015, I guarantee to you, you will rank all day long. Is that so, Josh? Can you prove it? Yes, I can. What other moron SEO, so I'm going to try and prove this to you now. What other moron SEO would share their own site examples? This guy. Okay, so, sorry, I've been working on this a long time. Sorry. So, here's some examples of what I'm talking about here. Here's a viral site example. This site is perfectly white hat, completely viral. You can see that after I dumped all the content in it and people went crazy sharing it, obviously I did something around this time that was crazy, and this time that was crazy, and people shared it like crazy. Look at the social shares. We have 289 Google Plus shares, 426 Twitter shares. I even have 172 likes and 193 Facebook shares. So I don't know if Google can read this, but if they can, it's helping out. Or this might just be one bucket. It might be like there's a social bucket, and they see they see genuine social interaction. They go, okay, good, check mark in the social bucket. Also, it's got links. It's got 127 referring domains and 636 backlinks in total. And you can see when this boosted up here in September, that's when at the end of September and October, that's when Google noticed it and boosted it up. And so it's been ranking highly ever since. And it had 15,000 impressions for that month period. So that's going completely viral, completely white hat. Here's a slightly more black hat example, or what a more spammy example anyway. And so you might be tempted to think by what I just showed you that you still need links. Look, it still has 636 backlinks from 127 referring domains. It's still a fair amount depending on the niche. So you might think it's still about links. Well, let's take a look at this then. Here's I'm sharing for the first time, one of my established top secret for me anyway, spammy affiliate sites. let's call it, oh, I don't know, Neutrogena skincare, just for the sake of example, because that's what I was using. And so this would be Neutrogena, Neutrogena All-in-One, Neutrogena Cream, Neutrogena Anti-Aging Cream, Neutrogena Skin, free Neutrogena, etc., etc. And, it's ranking for some pretty competitive terms here. It's something like 200,000 impressions per month all at once. The click-through rate is insanely high. I have 5%, anywhere from 5% to 30%. In fact, these are all the lower click-through rates, believe it or not. The click-through rates on the long tail is 100% for a lot of them. For pages and pages in analytics of 100% click-through rate, and then 50% click-through rate, 40% click-through rate. And so do not forget I mentioned that. That is a huge ranking factor in my opinion. And, again, a huge amount of page one rankings here. Some even top, like 1 or 2 spot rankings here for a lot of them for really high competitive terms. So you might imagine a site like this has got to have at least 5,000 links, 10,000 links. It's going to need that to rank for such high impressions. Here's the number of links that it has. This is no joke and no trick. 7. As reported by Webmaster Tools, this site has a total of 7 backlinks. And, or if you want, Majestic says it has 68 backlinks from 17 referring domains. How the effers are you doing that, Josh? Well, I'll tell you. Here's hint number 1. It's called social signals. Look at this. This is a screenshot from Ahrefs. You can see the links going down. It has negative link growth. That's supposed to be a huge deranking factor. When you have negative link growth, oh my goodness, that's a huge problem. No, it's not. That's a complete lie. You can see down, I've lost links here. Ahrefs says it has 20 referring domains and 28 backlinks. Look at the social shares that the site has. First off, this spammy affiliate site, quote unquote, has 164 Google shares, 264 Twitter shares, and even some Facebook shares and likes. This is totally organic. I did not buy this. This is completely organic from people saying, hey, this is great. This is a great site. Also notice this is just really funny. Here's someone obviously trying to do negative SEO against me. I did not build these links. I haven't built links to this site for years. Ever since the first Penguin, I haven't built links to this site. This site was hit by the first Penguin too, and I fixed it using a special little trick that I will just, so you can email me about if you want to find out. It's not the 301, it's not deleting pages, it's not using a disavow, definitely. It's none of those things. So it's a trick that actually works. So anyway, if you want to know more about that, email me. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But anyway, you can see here where someone tried to do negative SEO against me. So they even ramped up the linking as they were going. And they realized they probably helped me rank, and so they just dropped it off. They just deleted all the links all of a sudden. That didn't hurt it in rankings either, by the way. So I think it's these social signals here which are telling Google that it's a real site. These are the shares, the experts and enthusiasts sharing this stuff in this particular field. Skincare, which is my example. Also, again, this is still the social example. Notice that, look at these ranking boosts here. This is a screenshot from Google Analytics. Notice here, this is the average position and the impressions. When the impressions goes up and the average position goes down, that means the rankings increased, right? Either the rankings increased or you started ranking for a lot more and lower. So look at these two ranking boosts. A huge ranking boost here. The rankings increased. The rankings got better. My position got closer to spot 1 and on average for many keywords, and the impressions, of course, went up for that reason. And the same thing happened here. What was happening on those times? Well, boost number 1 here was engagement. I had a very big Google Plus interaction. This is kind of the first one that we got. And this shows me that I'm real to Google. This shows Google that I'm real, right? I got a lot of followers and comments and plus ones 3 or 4 days before this happened. Literally about right here before this happened, or around here when this happened, Google picked it up and this happened. Nothing else was going on at the time. It was not hit by Panda, or was not hit by any other algorithm that I know about. There wasn't ever any big hit back here to make me think that the site was hit by Panda. So there's no other SEO going at the time, no changes, no content changes, no links, no content addition. The only thing I could think of was that this had something to do with that interaction. And boost number 2 over here, I got a bunch of retweets. We put out some viral content. A lot of people liked it. We got a bunch of retweets from mid-sized accounts, expert accounts over a couple of days that are before this right here. Some Twitter favorites and some Facebook shares. Nothing else was going, guys, I'm not lying. I'm not selling you social signals, so you know I have no reason to lie. This is a free course you're getting here. Nothing else was going on at the time. This told Google, especially for like a very low trust site, like a spammy affiliate site, this told Google, hey, this is a real site. And they went, oh, okay, maybe this is not a spammy affiliate site with low trust. This looks like a real site because it has real social interaction. That's hint number one. And here's hint number two, which is the atom bomb for 2015 SEO. I really should make a course and sell this. Typically guys would, but I'm going to share this with you for free because, I don't know, because I'm such a nice guy. It's the off-page entity framework that I talked about. It's the co-citations, the mentions, the text scraping they can do, and the ratings, the schema, the review schema, and the rating schema that are all off-page. Never mind the schema on your site. Everyone thinks that schema has to do with your site. That's like 1% of the equation. 99% of the ranking equation comes from the off-page entity framework, the off-page schema that they can detect, and the HTML they can detect. So, to prove this to you, or to show you how to exploit this, I'm going to show you a really cool little search hack. This is a search hack that Google themselves actually uses. This is a search hack that was leaked to me from actual Google employees. This is a search hack that Google actually uses to check out the entity framework, and it's this right here. Here, use this to see what Google sees. Use this search query here. It's the site operator with a minus, so it's taking away all the results from xyz.com, but showing you everything that refers to xyz.com. And I'm going to show you the results on a different SERP, not one that I've been talking about, but just a random SERP. So here is vacationscostarica.com. Here's the search, and here's what it brought up. Now, it doesn't seem to be that interesting at first until I point out the important parts. These are the important parts. Look at this. It's saying, okay, show me all the results, everything that mentions this site. This is what the manual reviewers at Google actually use to tell what reputation a site has online. And if the manual reviewers are looking at it, I guarantee to you that Google's algorithms are looking at it. So look what happened for this website. This website's ranking very, very well. That's why I selected it, even though it's not one of my clients. It's ranking very, very well. And this is the reason why I'm showing this here also is because this is exactly what it looks like for Neutrogena skincare, that other example I was talking about. This one here that I was talking about. This one here had the exact same thing when you look at this search hack here. So look at all the sites, the big high authority sites that mention it. And these are just straight text mention. These are not links. Look, tripadvisor.ca mentions it. TripAdvisor.com mentions it. Trustpilot gives it 9.7 out of 10, 104 times. 104 reviews, average rating is 9.7 out of 10. And for a major travel agency, for a major travel-related website. TripAdvisor.uk, another major travel-related website, mentions them. So, etc. in their forum, etc., etc., etc. When you do this search hack, guys, I'm telling you, you see this again and again. This is the atom bomb for 2015 SEO. This is what everybody else is missing, and now you're going to have a huge competitive advantage when you see this. You want to get all the positive mentions and ratings that you can, and you want to check this just to make sure that there are no overtly negative ones. You want to remove the overtly negative ones. John Mueller has told me that the bad merchant algorithm exists. John Mueller is a Google employee, for those of you who don't know. He's told me personally that the bad merchant algorithm exists, but it only works for overtly negative reviews. You want to check this screen off for your site for overtly negative reviews and make sure you get them deleted, send a cease and desist, follow the rules, pay them off, whatever you need to do to get that taken down. So again, here is the 2015 ranking formula. It's extremely important. You want your topical do follow, no follow, and mentions on topically related sites. Any of the big sites in your niche have to be a reference you're talking about. You do a search for your keywords, and whoever comes up in the first 3 or 4 pages, that's where you need to get mentioned on. You want the expert shares in the social accounts that come up, and the social people who are important in that. You want also the enthusiasts and people who are interested in that general field to be sharing you, and just anyone to be sharing you in the social shares. You want your social, and that always be pointing to the particular page you want to rank. And you want social profiles that people engage with and talk to, pointing to your site, and you want ratings and reviews out there pointing to your site, again, on the big topically related sites. You want to have an awesome site that people love, that they're not bouncing from. You have to have a huge click-through rate because your title is so enticing and it promises to show them exactly what they want to see, and the keyword is mentioned exactly, if possible, if natural, or broad match is fine, in the title, in the H1, and in the content for that site. Sounds easy, huh? Well, unfortunately, there are these things called demoters. And so it's easy for you to rank, but you have to jump these sharks and not get hit by these demoters. Okay, so let's go through these demoters and let's see what is going to nab you if you do that wrong. If you do that right, I guarantee you're going to rank page 1, site after site after site. It's not about dumping all the signals into the link and on-page bucket. It's about dumping it into like the 5 buckets I mentioned here. These buckets here. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buckets, and then the on-page bucket. So those 6 buckets is where you got to dump your money into, not just links and on-page anymore. But I tell you, if you do this, you're going to rank all day long. It's easy. F you, Google. But you got to jump these sharks. Here's the sharks right here. Okay, here's our first warm and cuddly little friend, Panda. Panda is awfully warm and cuddly. It's the biggest single demoter algo moving forward. This is the biggest problem moving forward. Everyone says Penguin's the biggest problem. It is not. Panda is the biggest problem moving forward. Panda, and let me just use this comparison. If you forgive the comparison, Panda is kind of like the Nazis, banging on your door, and they check every house, every month, and they do so unannounced. Again, Panda is like the Gestapo, banging on every single door. They check every house, they check every month, and they do so unannounced. That's what Panda is like. It is based largely upon usage metrics and on-page and off-page factors, and I've listed all of them for you right here. This is my site, themoralconcept.net/pandalist.html. I update it every month whenever there's a Google leak and new information to the Panda algorithm. I went through the last 3 years of information and I put down every single leak from an actual Google employee about what specifically you can do to fix Panda or to avoid Panda. And I put them all, and I double checked it and cross-checked it, tested Google. I have multiple references from actual Google employees and actual Google sources. So you don't have to rely on that stupid, vague 23 questions. That doesn't help anybody. I have an actual to-do list, a do list and a don't list for Panda that is directly from Google, so you know it's legit. This will help you immensely avoid Panda. I've saved dozens of sites using this. Dozens only because I made it very recently. I've saved hundreds of sites from Panda altogether. So, and it's even easier now that I have the list, that I've gone and actually got off my lazy butt and made a list of all the stuff that I knew and compiled it into one place. So please, that's free, completely free. Use that, completely free. It takes me an hour to go through the whole list, so I won't do that here. Go and take a look at that at your own leisure. But it's extremely important. Do not think because I didn't bother putting it in this course, which is already going to be long enough, that it's not important. Panda is the most important demoting algorithm moving forward. And just as a summary, you do want to make sure your users are satisfied. You want to make sure you have the professional finishing. You want legitimate business signals. You want to outlink to authorities. And you want to be shared, liked, and reviewed. You don't want to just make 2008 SEO content, just crap content for the sake of ranking. That's exactly what Panda eats. It's bamboo. 2008 SEO top 5, this is exactly the kind of crappy content everyone else is making that Panda eats for breakfast. It's called bamboo. You do not want to duplicate and stuff your keywords, tag pages or archive pages, things like that. Panda hates that as well. You don't want to have a bad reputation out there, as I mentioned. You don't want to annoy users with ads. This is a big one that a lot of people don't know about or underestimate. You don't want any pop-ups, interstitial, or intertextual ads that annoy users. And you don't want to have any naked affiliate links. You definitely want to cloak your affiliate links. There's way more to look at on my list. That's a very simple distillation. You want to take a look at my list to know for sure. Penguin and payday loans. This is the second and third biggest spam algorithms out there that you have to watch out for. Penguin is otherwise called the web spam or the over-optimization algorithm. It works on both on-page and off-page over-optimization, typically in anchor text, but also anchor text to on-page correlation. So as I said, the exact match query link, buy red apples, linking to an exact match query page, buyredapples.com or josh.com/buyredapples. This includes all the keywords you would put in the title, alt attributes, or in your title tags, or in your URL, and in content in the anchors. Penguin 1 affected only the home page. So if you're hit by Penguin 1 back in April 2012, then you only have to try and fixing the home page and or deleting those links. Page 2 is page-based and affects any page. It puts a flag on the page, Google has told us. It's punitive. It only runs twice per year, maybe even once a year or so you have to wait. So you want to make sure you do not overdo it with your links and get hit by Penguin. How do you remove it? Well, technically you want to remove your on-page keyword repetition, so you have to get rid of all that on-page keyword repetition. You want to delete at least 80% of your exact match query backlinks pointing to that particular page. You want to get out of the Penguin algorithm. The disavow, as far as I can tell, doesn't do a damn thing. It doesn't help in any way, shape, or form. Anyone who gets out of Penguin from disavowing also happen to lose many hundreds or thousands of links, and they just overlook that little fact. So deletion really is the only official way to get rid of Penguin. And of course you can 404 delete the target page because it is a page-based flag, and that should get rid of Penguin as well. Is there another way to do it? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. And payday loans. As far as I can tell, payday loans is the same as Penguin. It is a loose name for a set of algorithms released both in June in 2013 and June 2014. They seem to release it every June. It seems to have higher thresholds, or Penguin seems to have higher thresholds than payday loans seems to have lower thresholds. It seems to work on the exact same principles as Penguin. There is a high exact match query to exact match domain relation. And unfortunately, Google has not commented on payday loans at all. It hits way more than just the payday loans niche. It hits any competitive niche, limousine niches, town car niches, chiropractor niches, law niches. Any spammy niche, any competitive niche has definitely been hit. Car niches have definitely been hit by payday loans, quote unquote. And there's only speculation on how to fix it. I speculate it is fixed the same way that Penguin is, because it only hits high spam targets. Paid links. So paid links, affiliate links, and advertorials. You have to be careful about these, of course. These are looked at by Google's manual team. That includes questionable or borderline spam links or questionable borderline links they think could possibly be negative SEO. Remember, there's over 12,000 Google manual reviewers as of 2012. You can watch the video they put out in January 2012 for proof of that. Most of them are over in India. They have algorithms that bubble up any suspect links and any links that are put in the spam form, and then the manual team looks at those. And they give a yes or no. They actually have to literally click it and say, yes, it is paid, or no, I don't think it is, and just get that out of my queue. So this is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid any sidebar links, any footer links, any directory lists, any blog roll, any sitemap, or compilation of sources links. That's a direct quote from Google. On or off page, you want to avoid that kind of thing because there's many different kinds of manual penalties. And remember, at best, these links are going to be devalued, or at worst, they're going to trigger a manual action. Speaking of which, there's a bunch of different kinds of manual actions. They come from the manual web spam team that I just talked about. There are 6 or more types of manual actions. You can see them all listed in Webmaster Tools under Search Traffic. That's a good reason for you to have Webmaster Tools installed. If you don't have Webmaster Tools installed, you can't see them. And I guarantee you, Google is not using that information for anything that would break the terms of service. And the team that does Webmaster Tools and Analytics is completely separate, a completely different company, if you will, than the team that does Google Web Spam. And here, so there's a bunch of manual actions. I'm not going to go through them all. The two most important ones are the unnatural link notices. And there's two different kinds. There's the unnatural link notice action versus site, and the unnatural link notice where they only take an action versus your links. The action versus site is very different. You have to do different things. You have to delete the links. You have to show them good faith. You have to disavow the rest of the links you couldn't delete, and you have to submit for reconsideration. You have to make them believe that you're never going to do it again. If you have received 2 or 3 manual actions, delete the site and start again. Because they've said, for links anyway, because they've said, fool me once, we might let you out, fool me twice, they will never let you out again. Or it's highly unlikely that they will. Otherwise, you can get out, but if you are given the unnatural link notice versus links, you must do nothing. It is only a warning to change. They have already selected I know it stays in your Webmaster Tools, I know it confuses you, but that is not what is de-ranking you. What is de-ranking you is that they've already chosen 100 links in your backlink profile that looked quote-unquote suspect to them, and they've removed them from your backlink profile. And so do not go and add more links that are to the disavow file on the fire, because all that's going to do is either de-rank you further or do nothing, or it is going to give them more information for their machine learning. So again, if you have the action versus links, they haven't made an action against your site, they've made an action against some of your links. Do not add more links to the fire. Duplication. There is no such thing as a duplicate content penalty, but there are 2 problems with duplicate content, at least. One, it forces Google to choose which page to rank. If it sees a page in your site, it has to decide which page it wants to rank. It may not be the one that you're pointing all the signals to. Also, they see a page on xyz.com and abc.com. It may tell them to, they may decide to rank abc.com as opposed to xyz.com. So they always choose what has the legacy, trust, and authority. So what they see constantly posting, that topic, and what has the authority, PageRank, basically. And don't forget that John Mueller has admitted they do trust sites less with, trust sites with cross-domain duplicate content less. So it is a factor in Panda, as I mentioned. You do not want your pages duplicated. And finally, 3, as I mentioned before, if you have URL parameters with a bunch of duplicate content on it, they can just decide to get rid of them all if they think that it's cruft. They think it's not useful. It's just red shoes, pink shoes, blue shoes. They're just going to get rid of it all and auto-canonical that to the shoes page. You'll lose all that PageRank juice and all those rankings. So I have a bunch of tips for avoiding that. You can use PubSub or Xindexer, which is part of SENuke, or Webmaster Tools to spider your content so Google knows that it's there. You can use right-click, copy and paste, and view source blockers so people can't just copy and paste it easily. You can use Copyscape to find copiers. I would use a batch search for that. You can file a DMCA request with Google to get that content taken down. Eventually, they do take action on it. You can use and keep a sitemap, again, to keep Google coming back to your site as long as you don't lie or are wrong on the sitemap. Or finally, just rewrite the content. Especially if it is poorly performs, make sure you have good information in that content. You can also add in video and images, a did you know kind of factoid with little facts, that kind of thing, that people cannot easily steal when they're scraping it, and or you do it in an iframe as well, so that way you have information that other people don't have. And finally, last but not least, negative SEO is here, and it's depressing. There's multiple kinds of negative SEO. Whoever tells you that negative SEO is false or does not exist does not have a clue what they are talking about. There are multiple kinds of negative SEO. There's link-based negative SEO, and other kind of negative SEO. There's really two kinds, link-based and non-link based. Link-based negative SEO is super easy to do. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not super easy to do. It's easy enough to do to sites that already have a spammy link profile. You can definitely push them over the edge. You just spam like it was 2008. You just make links with like red apples, red apples, red apples, red apples. It's pretty easy to do. And Penguin 3, unfortunately, did pick it up. There's very well documented cases of Penguin 3 not being discriminating enough, picking up negative SEO. And Matt Cutts admitted to me, to my face, that Penguin would. That's the reason why it took so long. It took them a year between Penguin 2 and Penguin 3. That's the reason, is because they could not manage negative SEO well enough. And they finally, because all the stupid people were complaining to them to rerun Penguin, so they did, and so a bunch of people got hit with collateral damage. Way to go, guys. Very good job. And here's some other negative SEO. This is not even all of it. This is just a little snippet of it. You can report them to John Mueller on the spam forum. Trust me, it's pretty easy. All you do is you go to his Hangouts for 6 months and make friends with the guy and then give it to him in the chat. And those sites can get taken down right away. Or you put them in the spam forum with multiple aged accounts from different IP addresses. You can do a denial of service attack on a page with open persistent connections until the server gets overflooded, the cache gets overflooded, and it starts serving 500 level server errors. Google will immediately, once it sees that, Google will immediately remove that page from the search results. And then when it comes back, it can be at a diminished spot, or even by a few spots, or even by a few pages, and this can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. It is terrible. Of course, a DOS attack is illegal, but if the originating country is coming from where there's no deportation, that's not illegal there, well, it doesn't really matter then, does it? You can make thousands of fake URLs by using URL parameters, which is what I mean by this little question mark, or by just named anchors like xyz.com/index.html pipe named anchor 1. But instead of named anchor 1, you would use keyword 1, red apples, buy red apples. And you would do that, buy red apples good, buy red apples best. You would do that tens of thousands of times if they respond 200 on any URL and get them to have tens of thousands of fake, duplicate, spammy keyword URLs. This is a problem not only for Penguin or any link-based algorithm. This is also a problem for Panda. This is the reason why they did not want to tell us about the list for Panda, and I had to make my own list because it can be exploited for negative SEO. Google has opened up yet another negative SEO exploit. I know this as a fact from Google themselves. You can, of course, make bad reviews. You can go out there and make tons of bad reviews for them, and this is being tracked, overtly bad reviews, and this is being tracked by Hummingbird and various algorithms. You can attack their backlinks. This is an old trick, but a good one. You can do a backlink profile analysis on them. You can find their top 10 or top 20 most powerful links on official, legitimate sites. You can call up those sites. You can tell the people that they're no longer in business. You can tell them that you have a better resource. You can tell them that their product is hurting people and there's going to be a huge lawsuit and that they should switch to your site. You can send a cease and desist. You can tell them that you want those links deleted because they're spammy. You can send a cease and desist and make them take down those links, again, claiming that they're spammy. You can do all those things and get them to delete those links. It's actually not very hard to do. You can scrape their articles and have them first. Again, have a Panda problem. You can use user-generated content. If they have user-generated content on their site, like they have an open commenting system, you can post thousands to tens of thousands of spammy blog comments on their blog talking about Viagra links or child porn, or heck, just try and actually, if they're trying to rank for unusual Xmas gifts, make sure every single comment mentions unusual Xmas gifts or something along those lines, or has links in them, especially with Xmas gifts, Xmas gifts, Xmas gifts again and again and again. Not only that, you can use click-through rate manipulation. You can get thousands of unique IP addresses that are private and just make sure that their result is not the one that's clicked and click other results. There's tons of negative SEO that you can do. You have to be extremely careful. How do you make sure that this does not hurt you? I'm telling you all this under the rubric that you're going to protect yourself. That's why I'm telling you all this. Don't leave yourself open to negative SEO by doing lazy 2000 SEO. That's the best way to do it. Don't have an unhealthy site. You know, the wolves pick off the old animals. Don't be the old, weak animal. Be the robust, fresh animal. Make sure that older spam domains, you have sub-brands. You have new sites coming up that are new with these new tactics. Older spam domains that already have thousands of spammy backlinks, and you're just slightly under the threshold to be hit by the last couple penguins or whatnot, they're the most susceptible. It's like they've been smoking for 40 years and one more cigarette's going to kill them. So they're the most susceptible. If you have an older spam domain, you are at increased risk. So get new sites going, sub-brand it out, and quite frankly, have the 2015 signals that I mentioned before that they don't know about and they can't get. A lot of people don't know about this. You know, you have a competitive advantage. You know, use these 2015 SEO tactics. We are just at the beginning. People complain, you know, that SEO is tough and that they don't know what's going on. It's actually not tough at all. It's super easy if you know the tactics to go for. For example, links. Do not go for links anymore. They have, as far as Google is concerned, the linking algorithms have a highly tuned immune system, if you will. They'll ignore like 90% of the even vaguely suspect links. So don't go for them anymore. The new entity algorithms from Hummingbird do not. They are in their infancy state. They are still in their infancy state. They are easy to exploit and manipulate, and I mean that in the most white hat sense. Be the awesome site that has lots of topical references on the important blogs and forums in your niche that are do follow, no follow, or mention. Though they're all good. You will need them all. Just do follow is stronger than no follow is stronger than a mention. Sometimes a mention on some topical blogs is even better. Have the experts sharing you, have the enthusiasts sharing you, and mentioning you and talking with you in your social profiles and mentioning your particular pages you want to rank and your site that you want to rank. Have your social profiles with pure engagement. Make sure you link them up to your site. Don't forget to do that. That's very important. Have ratings and reviews, positive ratings and reviews. Overwhelmingly positive ratings and reviews, hundreds, if not thousands of them, for your site. Make sure the site's awesome. A bigger site is better, but don't make a big site at the risk of making cruft content that Panda is going to eat. Don't make bamboo. Have an awesome site. Make sure all the pages link to your top pages. Make sure your keyword is in the title, in the H1. Make sure you have awesome click-through rate because you have an enticing title and you're promising exactly what they're going to get there, and you give it to them, and make sure they do not bounce back. But wait, there's more. This is what you would have gotten if you went to any conference where I present at, such as SEO Rockstars, provided by SEO Nitro. Last month, I also presented my penguin hack, how to avoid penguin, how to beat it, no problem. In fact, I even have a better way of doing it that I learned from a secret hack I got from Google very recently. If you were at SEO Rockstars, email me and I will talk to you about it. I even have a better way of doing it that works even better, faster, and also negative SEO protection. Stronger negative SEO protection, how to do this, and any other SEO consultation that you need. If you have any other questions, my name is joshpashinsky@gmail.com. I do this for a living. I'm very serious and very good at it. At least I'm very serious about it, whether or not I'm good at it. You can always email me if you have any SEO questions at all, joshpashinsky@gmail.com. Do not listen to the other SEO people out there, especially if they're selling something. I'm not selling anything other than my services, and so if my services suck, I don't get to eat. So I have to make sure my services are good, to make sure that I rank you within a few months, and you see that I rank you in a few months. You know, of course, disclaimer, a few could be 6 or 9 months, depending on the niche, but you should definitely see some results. Your site should be getting better. Everything we do, your site should be getting better. You should be converting better, more traffic, and eventually more rankings will come too. So email me if you have any questions. This has been the complete free 2015 SEO course. All you need is this course, guys. And do not be disparaged. 2015 SEO tactics are kick-ass, and there's the algorithms to exploit are really good to do, and SEO is completely alive and well. And it's not easy to do. It's complex. But this is a good thing because it means less people are doing it, and it's a huge opportunity for you if you want to take the bull by the horns and learn how to do this stuff. So good luck in the SERPs, and look at my YouTube channel, youtube.com/jbashins, for way more SEO videos like this where I spill the beans on a lot more SEO tactics, and you can find more information about me. Email me at joshbashinzi.com if any questions. And good luck in the SERPs. We'll see you next time.